So I traveled to Las Vegas, Nevada, where I rented this 2016 BMW i8 on Turo. And in this video, I've now traveled to the Valley of Fire State Park. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the i8, a little bit about why it wasn't quite so successful in the marketplace as BMW probably had hoped, what the car was kind of missing, my thoughts about driving the car, and you're going to get to see some fantastic scenery. All of that is coming up. As I mentioned, I rented this 2016 BMW i8 on Turo, and the owner of the car dropped it off at the hotel I was staying at on the Strip. When I found the car in the parking structure, this is what I discovered. I was worried I would not be able to get into it due to how close the car next to me was, but surprisingly enough, there was just enough room to open the gull-wing driver's door. If you're curious, the cost including fees and insurance was about $285 for 24 hours. That included 200 miles of range, without having to pay any additional mileage fees. The car has 46,000 miles on it and was in relatively good shape, with only a few obvious cosmetic issues, as you can see here on the driver's side, as well as here on the passenger door. If you're not familiar with the i8, it's a plug-in hybrid. A 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine makes about 231 horsepower. The 96-kilowatt battery that drives the front wheels adds another 129 horsepower that gets you to a combined 360. Although I have seen published figures that say it's 357, but you get the idea. It was first shown as a prototype at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 2009. Production models began deliveries in the United States in August of 2014, a full 5 years later. Many of the features of the prototype made it to production, except, of course, for those glass doors that you see here. The i8 was sold from the 2014 model year through 2020, and BMW sold about 20,000 cars. About a third of those were to customers in the United States. In the last 3 model years, they offered a roadster version of the car. Total production of the roadsters was close to 4,000. Now, to get to the Valley of Fire from Las Vegas Strip, I decided to go due east to the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. I figured this would make for a scenic drive north to the Valley of Fire. From the Las Vegas Strip, it's about a 20-mile drive to the entrance, and it takes about 35 minutes. So I'm in Lake Mead State Park. I am on my way out to Valley of Fire, and I stopped at one of the, rest spots where people go hiking, and picked up a couple of friends. So in front of me is a BMW Z4 convertible and a McLaren 600 LT, and we're making our way through the park. While we were not pushing it very hard, the BMW i8 had no problems keeping up, despite the horsepower disadvantage. The Z4, while being close to the same weight as the i8, has about 25 more horsepower. The McLaren 600 LT, of course, was in a whole different category, with its almost 600 horsepower twin-turbo V8. The three of us headed east and then north on Route 167. It's a great spot for a drive. Very little traffic, very few turnoffs. You just got to watch for the occasional blind turn, because you never know when a park ranger will be sitting around the corner. After chasing my new friends for about 40 miles, I left them to enter the Valley of Fire State Park. I am pulling up to the Valley of Fire entrance, where I have to pay an entrance fee. The entrance fee for the Valley of Fire State Park was $15, and I neglected to mention that at the time that I filmed this, in March of 2023, the entrance fee for Lake Mead National Recreation Area was another $25. The Valley of Fire State Park is the largest state park in Nevada. It derives its name from the way its red Aztec sandstone formations, once sand dunes during the age of the dinosaurs over 150 million years ago, seem to glow as if they are on fire in the hour just before sunset. For thousands of years, these lands have been used by Native Americans for many purposes. This geologic wonderland became known as the Valley of Fire 100 years ago after gaining popularity among travelers. The park formally opened in 1934 and received its legal designation the following year. The park has a visitor center and gift shop near the intersection of Valley Fire Highway and Mouse's Tank Road. It is one of the few places in the park where you can buy a bottle of water, something to keep in mind if you decide to visit. The Visitor Center provides exhibits on geology, ecology, and the history of the park, and it's definitely worth a visit. One of the stops I made was at Atlatl Rock. Here, the park has a staircase where you can climb up and see petroglyphs that are over 4,000 years old. The sign at the top indicated that these ancient drawings are a reflection of the past and the lifestyles of Native American cultures. Scientists are not exactly sure what the petroglyphs mean, but the art reflects the thoughts of these Native Americans. Now I have to admit, each time I would stop in the park and open the gull-wing door, the car would attract attention. And perhaps this is one of the reasons people still buy these cars. They want to be seen. I have to admit, I still love the exterior design. I think it is very exotic, even after almost a decade of being around. The interior, on the other hand, feels familiar to me. The reason for that is my wife and I had a 2015 BMW 435i. It was the car I started my YouTube channel with, and many of the interior components from this era of BMW cars carries on in this i8. So here's the interior of our 435i. Notice, same iDrive screen and controller, same climate control system, same stereo controls, same steering wheel controls. It's nice, but not exotic at all compared to its exterior design. Now, one of the reasons I also rented this car was to determine if I liked it enough to someday buy one of my own. I did a quick search on Auto Tempest to see what it would cost to buy a 2016 i8 with similar mileage, and found they run from the mid-60s through the mid-70s. The conclusion I've come to is this: this car is not for me. It just lacks the level of performance that I would want at this price point. While I don't know what BMW expected to sell when it comes to the i8, I have to imagine they were hoping for more than 20,000 cars over a 7-year model run. I know their goal was to produce a sports car that would get excellent gas mileage, that was environmentally friendly, and looked sporty at the same time. On that they succeeded, but clearly there weren't enough customers willing to shell out $150,000 to $175,000 for a car with only 360 horsepower. And limited handling. I mean, the front tires are only P215/45s. That's really skinny. Consider this. The i8 was introduced in 2014. The same year Chevrolet introduced the 7th generation Corvette, a car with 455 horsepower, big sticky tires. It would run circles around the i8 for less than half the price tag. Now, before you flame me in the comments, I understand they're not exact competitors, but you get my point. It was not enough car for the money they were charging. Don't get me wrong, I like this car. It was fun to spend a day with. Sporty, great exterior looks, comfortable to drive. But it's just too expensive. And I don't even want to think about what repairs to this car will cost in the coming years. Now, as for the Valley of Fire, if you find yourself in Vegas, make the trip. It was totally worth it. My name is Tom Stroup, and you've been watching Find the Right Road. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.